Now the next approach is competition. So in this approach, one party uses force to resolve the dispute. It's very simple to understand. There are two parties, one group and one person, or two groups or two people. It can be any situation. If one person is trying to force the other party, the other person to lose, and they are going to win as a return of that, that is competition approach. You compete with the other party. The main advantage is that can provide very fast resolution to any conflict. If you are going to force the other party, definitely you are going to win, and it is going to be very fast approach. But the main disadvantage is that it affects the relationship very negatively with the opponent party, and it can be very stressful and exhausting, because being forceful in a conflict is not a very good idea, and the other party is not going to lose very simply. It is going to be very stressful. There will be a lot of anxiety, and eventually if you win also by competition approach, the other party will never be able to build that trust with you. If you work in the same organization, it's a very bad point for a long run. Then the next approach is accommodation. So in this approach, one party consents as a gesture of goodwill. So they will be like, we are okay to lose, you win. As a good gesture, they'll tell the other party to win. Now the major advantage is, just like competition approach, since one party is completely losing and the other party is winning, it's going to be very fast. Very less efforts will be required. But it gives a chance to both the parties to evaluate the situation again. Since one party is being very nice and they are telling the other party to win simply, it will give both the parties some blank space to go back and try to think about the situation again. And maybe they can come up with some better solutions. So that's one of the advantages, that it leaves some blank space where both the parties can work on. And it can eventually become a collaborative approach as well, which is one of the most ideal ones. But the major disadvantage in this particular approach is that it can affect the self-esteem of one party very negatively. Since one party as a good gesture is telling the other party to win, but at the same time they may feel very inferior as compared to the other party, which is not a very good example or a very good solution to resolve a conflict. Now, the next approach is avoidance. So, in this approach, either party avoids the issue, which is never a very good solution, because if you avoid an issue, it is going to come back in future. It will pile up, will become bigger and worse, and will come back. So, the major advantage is there's no stress and it's very quick, because it's not actually a resolution process, it's avoidance. You are just avoiding it. Gives you time to analyze the situation and collect more information before you act. But you can, again, this situation will be applicable to cases where you have a very important project at hand, or you are working on something which is extremely important and you cannot pay attention to any kind of conflict. So at a particular time you can avoid it, and then later on you can come back, and in that meantime both the parties will get some time to think about the situation, think about the sources of the problem. The major disadvantage is that it can affect the relationship negatively when the other party expects action. Since it is avoidance, maybe one party is not ready to take any action, but they will expect from the other party to take some action and resolve it. And if the other party will not do that, there will be this negative energy between both the parties, which is not a very good solution and not good at all if both the parties are a part of same organization. And this approach is limited to short conflict. If the conflict is very big, we can never ignore it. We cannot avoid it or prevent it. We have to sit and we have to find some common goals, or we have to use some approach to resolve it. So all the conflicts cannot be avoided. This technique can only be used when we have a major project which is very important at the time and the conflict is very short. So these are the five main approaches.